Should I buy this florist business? This is one of the most common questions that I get. And of course, I could jump in and look at the financial statements of the business that you are thinking of buying and tell you whether it's going to be a sound investment, whether it's a good use of your money or not. But I can't tell you whether it's a good fit for the vision that you have for your life. So, what if AI could help you avoid a $100,000 mistake when buying a florist business? And we're going to break it down step by step. I bought my first florist business more than 10 years ago, and wowzers, I could have saved myself so much stress, so much anxiety, so many sleepless nights if back then I had access to the power of AI and even something as simple as ChatGPT. So yes, please do reach out and hire the professionals, work with an accountant, find yourself a lawyer to make sure that you are checking all of the boxes and that from their opinion, it's also a sound investment. But the actual decision of buying an existing florist business requires a very methodical, strategic decision-making process. So my goal is to give you a very simple but comprehensive way for you to evaluate if buying that florist business is the right fit for you financially as well as personally. And we're going to be leveraging the power of ChatGPT so that you can make a very informed, empowered decision and move forward with confidence. And just a note, if you are a corporate dropout and you're thinking of completely overhauling your life, taking that 180-degree turn, I will always be the first to say, go for it. But before you sign on the dotted line, please take this 4-step process to really evaluate the opportunity. And definitely, before you pull out all of your life savings from your retirement fund and put it all on the line on one single investment. And yes, I am speaking from personal experience. Of course, it was a ballsy move, but it was also very strategic and very considered. But these days, that process gets to be so much simpler because you get to leverage the power of AI to help fill in the information gaps, show you your blind spots, and really help you feel empowered to make the right decision for you. So let's get into it. Step number 1 is information gathering. I am going to assume that you have found a listing or somebody has told you that a local flower shop is for sale. So you have your eye on a very specific business. And if you've spent any time looking at any of these listings, you're going to see that they're pretty vague. They're pretty high level. They don't really share much information. And of course, they are always written from the most positive light because those listings are there to sell the business. But in my opinion, they only show you about 10% of the picture. So we're going to use ChatGPT to help fill in the gaps, to help you understand what information you need to gather so that you can see the full picture. So I'm going to start this from the very beginning, and just to make sure that we're all on a level playing field here, I'm going to open up a ChatGPT conversation in an incognito window. So the very first thing that you're going to do is give ChatGPT just a little bit of context. So that can start with some simple statements like, "Hi, I found a listing for a florist business for sale in my area. I haven't yet approached the owner, but I'm wondering if you can give me a list of details and information I can gather to start investigating whether this is a good investment. Thank you." So it's going to come back to you and start to outline for you some very specific details. So I want you to think of this like doing a homework assignment. You're going to start the process of creating a case study for this business. So you're going to see as it starts to list out the information, it starts at the very beginning. So name and location of the business, years in operation, ownership structure, reason for the sale. Then it's going to jump into the financial information. So revenue, cost of goods sold, operating expenses, net profit, cash flow statements, outstanding debts or liabilities, the balance sheet. Then it gets into business performance, assets included in the sale, the location and lease, staffing, marketing and online presence, legal and compliance, the growth potential, owner transition support, valuation and asking price. This is incredible. The amount of structure that you have so that you can do your due diligence has literally just been mapped out for you right here. So the next thing that I want you to do is take all of this information and put it into a brand new Google Doc. You can name that Google Doc something as sexy as secret project, or it could be evaluating whether I should buy this business. But I want you to take all of this information, put it into a Google Doc, and then as you start to find out more facts and figures about this business, then you can start to fill in the blanks. So if you've ever had that little voice in your head say to you, I don't know what I don't know when it comes to buying this business, this is the answer to that question. And these are the things that you need to find out in your due diligence with figuring out if this is a good business to buy. There's 3 other things that we did that I highly recommend for you to add to your to-do list. And the first thing is jump on their website and actually order flowers from the business. This is going to give you a full view of what the customer experience is like, what their website is like, how much they charge for delivery, what the arrangement looks like in comparison to what's on their website, any sort of follow-up, any sort of delivery confirmation. You can then also test out for yourself any flower care instructions that they've provided for you, how long the flowers last for, and you can literally treat it like a little science experiment and make notes at every single step in the process, especially when it comes to thinking about how you can improve the online ordering process, the delivery confirmation, the flower care instructions, the branding, the packaging, the ingredient choice, like all of it. The second thing that I highly recommend is that you actually sit outside the physical shop or stand outside down the road a little bit out of sight if it's awkward, but you stand there for 10 to 20 minutes and you just watch to see what happens. So I ended up doing this on 3 or 4 different occasions, very intentionally going in on completely different days of the week, because every retail business has a totally different ebb and flow on a Saturday than they do on a Monday morning or a Wednesday afternoon. So pick 3 or 4 different times and just do some stealth evaluation. Very specifically, make some notes around how many staff members you see, how quickly they move through product, how many times the delivery person comes in to actually pick up orders to take them out for delivery. It's going to give you a really good sense of how busy is this shop. You can make tons of notes of things you would change, what you would improve, shop fit out, colors, aesthetics, branding, signage, all of that. But just paying attention to the traffic, who's coming in and out, how many times does the phone ring, how many times does that delivery driver come back, how many staff have they got on, what's the general vibe of people walking out of that shop. There's so many intangible aspects that just cannot be captured on paper that are so important for you to understand. And you can see so much of that just by looking at what's happening in that physical space. The third thing, and I highly recommend, is that you actually call them and you ask them if they have any peonies in stock. And particularly if you know that peonies are not in season, this is a really insightful question to ask whoever answers the phone, because it's going to tell you 2 things. It's going to tell you how important customer service is to them, and it's going to tell you how well they've trained their team. And it's a very simple question to ask, but it's going to give you so much insight in terms of the philosophy of how this business is run. So that's literally step 1. And this is going to be the most time-consuming piece of the process, but this is where information is power, because now you have all of these different sections that you can start to fill in the information with. Some of it you'll be able to tell just by doing your own homework and kind of doing that secret shopping. Some of it you're going to only be able to tell once you actually talk to the owner. Number 2, the financial review. So I've got a P&L here from a business that we bought more than 10 years ago. So I'm going to use those numbers to help us see how to use ChatGPT to understand the viability and the financial health of a business. Now, this does not replace the need of talking to an accountant and talking to the owner and making sure that you're gathering at least 3 years of financial statements. But I am a firm believer that information is power, and particularly when it comes to financial literacy. I'll be the first to say, hey, if you look at a P&L and you're like, A, what does a P&L stand for? What the heck is COGS? And I don't even understand what any of this information is. That was me. But this is where we get to use ChatGPT to really shed light and understand what the numbers mean, what numbers actually to pay attention to so that you can grow your money confidence. I'll also say too, ChatGPT is a very good place to go to answer all of your questions. So if you don't know what a P&L stands for, if you don't know what COGS stands for, hey, you can jump on Google, or you can just ask ChatGPT, and it's not going to have any judgment about whether your question's a good question or a bad question. So let's jump back over to our incognito window on ChatGPT, and I'm going to type in my second prompt. And your version of this might be slightly different depending on the financial information that you have at hand. But we're going to go with, okay, I have the P&L from 2 years of the business. That's the only financial data I have available. But of the numbers on that P&L, what data points can I provide to you so you can give me some clarity on the financial health and profitability of this business? ChatGPT has said, here's what to extract from the P&L. So revenue, cost of goods sold, gross profit. So that's revenue minus cost of goods sold, which is helpful for calculating the profit margin. And then operating expenses, net profits, owner's compensation, any one-off or unusual expenses. So you're not going to have all the information, and that's okay. But what we do have is enough information just to shed some light on the financial health of this business. So I am going to go in and type in just some of the numbers from this previous business. If you really wanted to do a thorough job on this, I would go in and give it all of the numbers. But I think if I did that, you'd get so bored that you would want to poke your eyes out with a hot skewer. So we're just going to go through some of the top most important influential numbers on the P&L. So first things first is sales equals 486, COGS equal 290, 288. Then I'm going to pick some other big numbers and I'm going to say rent, wages, which this number rings alarm bells for me. So I'm going to come back to that thought in a second. And any other big numbers. So 2 other numbers jump out at me. So motor vehicle expenses, 13,000. The other thing that's on this P&L is interest bank. So that shows me that the current owner of this business has a loan. So that's just something to keep in mind in terms of whether you're taking a loan out from the bank to buy your business, then you're going to want to incorporate that into your P&L evaluation. Or if you're buying it with your own money and you're not taking out a loan, then that's going to impact how you might read somebody else's P&L statement. So I'm just going to throw these 5 numbers into ChatGPT just to see what insights it can provide for me. So it's estimated the value of this business based on a very traditional approach to accounting. It would suggest that the listing price for this business is $290,000. The other thing, if I scroll back up, that is really helpful to know is that the operating profit equals the gross profit of the business minus the operating expenses. And it's done that math to show us that the operating profit is $116,000. So a couple of seconds ago, I also said, hey, red flag for me around the wages number, because there's no way that anybody is running a business that's turning over $468,000 a year and they're only paying $35,000 in wages. I also don't necessarily know the business structure based on this P&L, that it could be that the owner is paying themselves out of that operating profit. So out of that $116,000 that's left after all of this math is done. And that one area is a really important area to interrogate because every business structure is different. Every business owner pays themselves based on the structure of their business, and it might not be something that's obvious if you're looking at the P&L for the first time. So again, another great conversation to have with your accountant, but also if you wanted, you could continue that specific line of questioning with ChatGPT so that you know the questions that you need to ask the business owner. And again, take all this information, put it in your Google Doc so that you can truly build out your case study. So now you know the information that you need to gather. You know more about the financial valuability of the business. Let's talk about personal fit. And I personally put the decision of buying a florist business on the same level as deciding to have a child. I know that that sounds crazy, but that's the level of commitment that you're signing up for. And it's not a decision to be rushed into. And it's not something that anybody else can tell you whether it's a good idea for you or not. But again, this is another area where I love using ChatGPT and doing it in a way where it's more about mentoring and coaching. And I tell my clients all the time, like I use AI in some pretty non-traditional ways, and this is one of them. So let's jump back over to our chat and go a few layers deeper, this time on a much more personal mission so that you can uncover for yourself whether buying a business is a good idea for you. So the next prompt I'm going to type in is, can you give me 5 to 10 journaling prompts I could use to evaluate whether buying a florist business is a good fit for me and my life goal? So yeah, when I say this is not a decision to be taken lightly, that's what I think. It's going to come back with 10 journaling prompts that you can use. So you can literally take these journaling prompts or take that prompt and see what ChatGPT comes back with. Now, I'm not saying you need to do all 10 of these prompts, but I just love having a list of 10 because then you can be like, which ones capture my attention? Which ones do you want to have discussions with your family about? Which ones do you want to reflect on personally? So here's a few, and I'll just grab a couple from this list. So what does an ideal day in my life look like, and how would owning this florist business support or disrupt that vision? How do I feel about working long or irregular hours, especially around holidays and weekends? And I love it. ChatGPT's already made such a good observation. Floristry is often busiest when others are off. What do I enjoy most in work, creativity, leadership, sales, logistics, and will this business give me room to lean into those strengths? What is my financial risk tolerance, and how would I handle a slow season or an unexpected downturn in sales? How long am I willing to wait for a return on my investment, and what's my definition of financial success in this venture? That is a powerful question. Why am I drawn to the floral industry specifically? And is it the product, the creative outlet, or the idea of owning a small business? Am I more excited by the idea of owning this specific business or the idea of being a business owner in general? Oh, that's so good. What knowledge or experience do I already have that would help me succeed? And where would I need to learn quickly or hire help? Am I comfortable managing people, making quick decisions, and solving unexpected problems on the fly? How does owning this florist business fit into my 3 to 5 year personal and professional goals? E.g., do you want to grow, flip it, keep it small and sustainable, or build a lifestyle business? I swear to you, if you answered all 10 of those questions, you're going to gain so much clarity around whether buying a florist business is a good fit for you. This is so powerful. Thank heavens for AI. And now you've got 3 big pieces of the puzzle sorted. The very last thing that you can do is take all of that information. So you'll have worked through that entire case study that you created from prompt number 1, the financial review from prompt number 2. You'll have talked to your accountant. You'll have engaged with a lawyer. And this, for me, is really thinking about the big picture. And this last step is just coming full circle, making sure that you've got all the information and using ChatGPT to help distill it down into a very simple, short summary, so that you can look at it and be like, yes, this is a decision. I'm super excited about it. It's like the final conclusion in that essay paper. And this can only be done after you've finished steps 1, 2, and 3, and you've gathered everything into that Google Doc. The very last prompt that you could put into ChatGPT is, hi, I've gathered all my information and ideas about buying an existing florist business in my area. See attached. Can you please review this information and provide me with a recommendation based on 1, personal fit, 2, financial potential, and 3, market growth? ChatGPT will then go through your Google Doc. It will go through the entire attachment and will summarize all of the information for you. Then you can look at it and go, is this a good fit for me or not? The thing I love about this last step in the process is it helps create a little bit of emotional distance. And just like buying a house or just like going for an interview at a job that you're really excited for, it's like you get your hopes up and you're like, you can only imagine your life going down that path and nothing else. But this helps create that little bit of space that you need so that you can really feel solid in your decision. And again, a giant disclaimer. Do not use the information from ChatGPT to replace the discussion that you're going to have with a lawyer, the discussion that you're going to have with your family, and the discussion that you're going to have with an accountant. And don't make any dumb financial decision. But instead, I want you to use this as a tool to help you feel more confident, to help you to gain clarity, and to help you feel really solid in the financial investment that you're going to make. Because yes, you can make a lot of money running a florist business. But I want you to go in eyes wide open. I want you to know to the best of your ability what you're actually signing up for. And I want you to feel really confident that you're making the best decision for you. And only you know how much risk you're willing to take and whether running a full-time florist business is a good fit for the vision that you have for your life. But please take this 4-step process, play around with ChatGPT, have fun with it. It's such an incredible and powerful tool that we have access to these days, and it's going to help you so much in your evaluation of whether you should buy that florist business or not. And if you enjoyed this video, then you might also like this video. I just reviewed 22 florist websites. I'm breaking down the most important takeaways, what's working, what's not, and what you can do right now to create a website that actually drives sales. And I'll see you in the next video.